Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday night, where we play whatever is coming out or has come out in the past week and catches our interest. This week, we are playing Touken Ranbu Warriors. This is a newly released Warriors game, but it's not the one that came out in the West this week. That was Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires, and that was an excellent game that I enjoyed a great deal. I've already reviewed on digitallydownloaded.net. I've also done a video on it. I've also been yelled at for daring to enjoy the game. So I'm not going to subject myself to any more of that by streaming that game. I'm going to do this one instead. This comes out in the West in a couple of months. And obviously the version that you're seeing here is the Japanese release. There is no English in there. So you're not going to follow along unless you are familiar with the Japanese language. What I'm going to do tonight is not actually give away too much. I'm certainly not going to try and translate what's going on because my Japanese skills are nowhere near up to scratch to do that on the fly, and I don't want to embarrass myself. I also don't want to confuse you, which I probably would do if I tried to translate Japanese along the way. What I will do, though, is vaguely explain to you what is going on as I play, and what we're going to play tonight is the introduction for each of the characters, and that takes place across a battle, a kind of tutorial battle as such. And then we'll also play the first battle in the main game itself. So you'll get to see a good chunk of what you will be playing in the early stages of this game when you get into it yourself, and you'll get a good feel for it. You will understand, I guess, what the game is like, how it plays, and what it looks like, because as you will see, it is a particularly pretty game. I really do. I like... My first impressions of this game is excellent. I have played through a little bit of this before I started the stream, and I really, really enjoyed myself. I thought it was an excellent game. I haven't got bored of the Warriors formula, of course, so I am one of the fans of what they do with this series, but even after playing so much Warriors with Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires over the last 2 weeks, I jumped into this and was immediately hooked all over again. So that's my early impressions, and now we'll jump into it. This is just a little opening warning. Hello, Nooka Gaming. Welcome to the stream. Glad you could join us. I know as a Warriors fan, you're going to enjoy what this one has to offer, I would think. Yeah, this is good. I mean, Koei Tecmo has done a very good job with their licensed titles of recent years anyway. They did an absolutely spectacular job with the Zelda formula. The Fire Emblem Warriors was excellent, and looking forward to the next Fire Emblem Warriors later on this year. They've done Arslan, which was excellent. Oh gosh, what else have they done that's been a licensed tie-in recently? They did a great job with Dragon Quest, not quite last year or the last couple of years, but that's still in my recent memory. The Dragon Quest Warriors games were excellent. So yeah, they do a good job. The Koei Tecmo does know how to take licenses these days and spin them in interesting ways. Persona 5 Strikers, that's the other one I was really thinking of. The Koei Tecmo did a great job with that one as well. So yeah, they know what they're doing. They really do, and this is another licensed title, which like I said, I think you'll enjoy. If you'd like your Warriors games on any level, then you'll enjoy this one. It's a little bit niche to be released in the West, I must say. I don't think the anime is quite as popular here as it is in Japan, where it is massive. We'll talk a bit about that over the stream, but this is a massive property in Japan. It's just not that big over here. So I was a bit surprised when they announced that they were going to port it to the West, but pleasantly so, because I think the quality is there. And if you're into your history and stuff, then you're definitely going to get a kick out of this. You're a bit concerned about the performance since Age of Calamity. Yeah, there is always that. You'll probably get a sense of what the game performs like on Switch here. This is a Switch exclusive, of course, so you won't be able to play it anywhere else. Might be, is it getting a release on PC? I can't remember. As far as consoles go, it is only on Switch, so this will be the only place you play it, and if you're not impressed by the performance here, then you're not going to be impressed with the performance anywhere with this game. But anyway, that is what it is. That is what we'll talk about more in the review, I guess. Right now, we're here to enthuse about the first little bit that we get to play. So there's all the pretty boys. Touken Ranbu is exclusively boys. There are no female characters in this one. So yeah, there's 15 of them, I believe. At least that's how many you're told there is at the start. Whether there's some secret characters down the track, I don't know. But there are 15 characters in this one, and they are all male. Press any button. Oops. I Excuse me, I took a little bit too long there, so I'm going to have to scroll through this again. Alright, let's get into it. So, we've got continue there and new game. We're going to go to new game because, like I said, I have been puttering around with this a little bit. I downloaded it earlier today. Had a great time with it, but I want to show you it from the start. So we'll go over here and we will start a new game. Just some basic settings. That's easy and normal in terms of the control setups, and I'm going with normal, of course. Certainly enough pretty boys to keep the Otome fans happy, yes. And I guess we should mention that before we get playing with it, but this series is wildly popular in Japan with women, and it has actually kind of kicked off a fascination in history among women. There's a museum of swords in Tokyo, I think it is, pretty sure it's Tokyo. There's a museum of swords that has seen a massive increase in the number of women that have dropped in because in that museum of swords there's a lot of swords that are particularly famous and they're named swords and they've got, you know, characteristics and history behind them. Because some of those weapons are actually turned into pretty boys in this game, a lot of women have gone to kind of check out the real life sword as such, and yeah, it has really kind of kicked off a wave of enthusiasm for Japanese history, which is always a good thing. Any game that can do that is a good thing. And I don't mean the Warriors game here. The basis of this whole series is a mobile game that was really popular in Japan. This is a kind of spin-off of that mobile game and subsequent anime. Alright, so we're into it. The time is 22:05, which ties in with one of the anime series if you have watched that. And the basic concept, as you will see, is that these 15 boys, these 15 swords of legend, have been given a mission to go back in time and save history. It's Quantum Leap, basically. If you were around in the 80s and you watched Quantum Leap, then it is basically that. They need to go back in time and deal with attempts by historical revisionists to change history to suit them. So you need to reset history back to the right path. That's the basic concept of the game. It's very, very, very Quantum Leap. So very pretty graphics, of course. It is a very pretty game. The art style in this thing is just gorgeous. The character design is exceptional, as you would probably expect. And at the moment they're just kind of chatting and chilling, and this is where the bad things start to happen. Because of history changing in the past, the bad things are happening here. So this opening cutscene is really setting the scene where this is what happens because history has gone awry. Quantum Leap Warriors is certainly an interesting concept. I just never thought that would happen, but times be strange, so that's what has happened. And there is a fox character. An adorable fox, as yet you cannot pet the fox. This is about as close as you get to petting the fox. You don't get to do it. But this fox is funnily enough, this fox is a government worker, and he is basically telling you what to do. So he acts as your guide, and he is the one who's able to give you your powers. So you're a super powered human sword now because of him. He's just a cute little fox too. He doesn't help. He just kind of wanders around and does his thing. You follow him. If you ever get stuck and you don't know where you need to go to the next objective, you can actually follow the fox. He'll kind of guide you there. That's all he does. Which is pretty much in line with what you'd expect for a government worker, really. Functionally useless. So at the start of a mission here, these are the first 3 characters. Like I said, the tutorial takes you through all 15 of the main characters, and this is the first battle. So we've got 3 characters here to choose between. We've got Smouldering red-haired dude. We've got, that's Muramasa, the sword, the legend, the man, and then we've got this dude, who is black-haired and yeah. So we're going to pick him. I haven't actually used him yet. This is the third time I've tried this little tutorial quest. And these are just standard options. If you've played a Warriors game, you can actually jump into this quite easily without knowing Japanese if you have played Warriors games in the past, because as far as I'm concerned, well, as far as I've got into it so far, it just very much plays like a typical Warriors game. So we're just waiting for it to load. Here we go. So this is the first tutorial. As you can see, we've got a very lovely sword there, and look at all those pretty sakura blossoms. That guy's run away, we need to follow him, that's the mission so far. And off we go. And these are the first enemies we fight, which are floating skeletal snakes. I think that's the best way to describe them. So you're not fighting humans as you would in a Dynasty Warriors game. If you've been playing Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires this week, then you'll be well and truly used to fighting humans. In this one, you're not fighting humans, it's demons and skeletons and things. This is a fantasy game. It is not a... while you are trying to save history, it is certainly not a realistic game. So there's the fox. As I said, he will be your guide. If you ever get lost, he shows you the way to go. And you can just press an up button and here he comes. And then he'll try and tell you go that way. And then you'll say, no, I don't want to go that way. And then he'll turn around and go. He just keeps doing it. He never gets angry at you. You can keep doing this for ages and ages. And he's got the patience of a saint, this fox. So I do that a lot to him. I like to annoy the fox. So he's guiding us down here, and this is the last battle for the opening tutorial. And that's just explaining the camera functions to you, so you know how to swivel the camera. You can do all the normal warrior things there. The missions that you need to complete are on the left-hand side there. I've got 147 of 150 enemies defeated, so you need to do that. And when you do that, you'll clear this mission. Of course, it is just a tutorial, so it's not going to be too challenging. That one took all of 1 minute to clear. You get a little bit of cash. Later on, you get other rewards as well. Like any Warriors game, follows that formula pretty closely. Right. We have cleared that mission. That means victory. If you want to learn a little bit of Japanese, that's what that meant. Victory. So now Foxy here, Foxy McPal, he's going to tell you that he's going to form 5 teams. I'm not entirely sure why. I haven't read it that closely, to be honest. But he's going to form 5 teams of heroes. And these little groups, they're going to go out and complete various objectives. At the moment, in the tutorial, we're just being tested by the government to make sure that we're the ones that should be given the power to travel back in time and save everybody. This little group has just passed, so now he's going to go off and test the next group. Sorry about that, you're probably hearing a little bit of plastic in the background. I need to drink a lot of water at the moment. I've got a bit of a cold going on. It's not COVID, thank goodness, but yeah, if I don't keep drinking, my voice is going to go all kinds of funny. So this is the second group. So we've got some very pretty boys here. Very pretty indeed. 4 of them. We've got aqua hair, we've got shorty, we've got cowlick hair, and then we've got purple hair. with the flower, no less, just to prove how delicate he is. I'm not sure which character I'll use this time. Even prettier than the last ones. They are indeed. You've got to keep up prettying themselves. I think I'm going to go with Flower Guy. He seems suave. The first time around I played that one, when I was just playing before the stream. He wields a little dagger sword thing, which makes him very fast and stuff. But yeah, wasn't my kind of character. Let's give Romeo here a go. Okay, so his weapon is a sword. A lot of characters have swords in this game. There are a couple of other varieties, and we will see some of those. There's like spears and stuff, but a lot of them are sword-based. But they all do have different combat styles, so never fear, it's not like you're playing the same character 15 times over. You do have different character types. And as you can see, this one is a little bit slower. It's a bit heavier, but he certainly hits hard. And by doing that, we can clear that mission. That objective, I mean. Now we need to just defeat a bunch of these snakes. Do that, and we'll be able to move on. Okay. So any second now, the fox is going to go blistering along down that road. Now if he goes, come back here. See, I told you I'm nasty to the fox. Come back here. Never runs out of patience with him. And now we've yet to fight a different type of enemy now. It's like a skeleton scorpion thing. You will see in this stream a boss battle. They do get interesting. At least the designs seem to be quite interesting. So we do have some special powers here. Magic abilities as such. The Warriors formula has really... it's really come into its own. Like, I remember even as far back as the PlayStation 3, people just subscribed to the idea that Warriors games were button mashers and yada yada yada. But these days, they're certainly fast and furious and still quite arcadey, I guess, in tone. But they do have a lot of options in terms of how you go about the combat and how each of the characters play. So one of the reasons, I guess, that I've stayed such a big fan of the Warriors series, despite having played like 100 of them at this point, is it is constantly evolving, and the combat system is fluid and viscerally entertaining. It's just good stuff. I really like it. Yeah, I'm not such a fan of this guy's special attack. There are characters that have better magic specials, or whatever they're called, than this guy. They don't hit enough. They're just not good enough for kind of mob clearance. But anyway, because it was only a tutorial battle, we did finish it easy enough. Thank you very much, Romeo, for your service. We got a little bit more cash. And we have the approval of the government. We can now go take this group on their little quests back in time. Their quantum leaps. Victory. See, there we go. As I mentioned, there are characters that have other weapons. Here is one that uses a spear. Gosh, I can't even pronounce it right now. Mental blank. It's been a long week, but yeah, that's a spear-like weapon. And a very interesting character design too. And then another little swordy thing. Now, I will say, if you want to... Nugget. See, I can't even pronounce it, and you've got it right there in front of me. That is how far gone I've been this week. It has been a long week. I have reviewed a crazy amount of games. Very long ones, too. Naginata. Yes, that is basically the weapon. An interesting bit of history about that weapon. I told you this game was historical and stuff. That weapon was traditionally used by women. It wasn't a man's weapon. And you may have seen it, actually. If you play the Soul Calibur series, the Sung Mina uses it. And yes, it is actually a weapon that is traditionally seen as a women's weapon. And kind of a low-class one. The spears and stuff in Japanese combat, especially back in those days, spears were kind of the thing that you gave your foot soldiers who didn't have noble rank. The actual samurai swords and the various daggers and stuff that you also see, those kinds of bladed weapons, they were really for nobility as such, whereas the common foot soldier really just had... They may have had a sword, I think, but it wasn't a samurai sword by any means, and it was mostly a spear that they took into battle. The man's spear is a little bit different in design. Okay, so we'll pick that character. I've already played through this mission with that character because I wanted to see what the Naginata was like, but I want to show you what it is, what it's like, because it does feel a little bit different to players. And I quite like the character. As I was saying, actually, just before I got sidetracked with the historical discussion, if you want to get up to date with this, you can watch the anime. It's on Crunchyroll. And the anime does track the narrative that this game does, so you can get fully invested in the characters and whatever before you actually get into playing this. And I would recommend you do so because it is a pretty character-driven Warriors game, and the amount of enjoyment that you will take out of it is very much based on how much you like the characters and stuff. So in this battle, in this tutorial, we're learning how to lock onto boss-type characters, or monsters, or enemies, whatever you want to call them. And that also is very typical for the Warriors series these days. You didn't used to be able to lock onto enemies. That was not a thing until relatively recently. But it certainly makes things easier now that you can. Got a video meeting, so you'll be watching quietly in the background with sound off. No worries. And yeah, I will certainly be doing more coverage of this anyway, so stay tuned, and if you're still around when I'm still streaming, then we'll catch you later. Thanks for chatting as we've been going. So, the other thing that you learn in this tutorial battle is that enemies do MMO-style kind of ranged attacks, and they have that little glowy box that you can use to judge if you're in the way. And you can duck out and dodge and stuff. You can't just button mash your way through, especially on the higher difficulty levels. I'm sure you will need to be able to master the art of the dodge as well. What I like about this level, I know this is going to sound really silly. So the third thing you learn in this level is the ability to dash. So if you just run forwards and avoid enemies, then you start to be able to dash. The other thing I love about this little tutorial level is these things. They're kind of the furniture that you'd see in traditional t-shirts in Japan. There aren't that many of those around anymore. But yeah, that's the place where you sit in the kind of sun, but in the shade because of the umbrella. And you get to enjoy dango and tea and stuff. It's a very traditional way of just chilling in Japan, and I love it. Absolutely love it. Love the aesthetic. So the last thing you learn in this tutorial is this kind of clash. So at times when you and your opponent, boss opponents, do an attack at the same time, then you have that kind of button mashy thing to decide who gets the break and get the advantage. If I win, as I'm about to, I do a huge amount of damage. And voila. So that's the end of that mission. If you've been counting, we are now 3 tutorials down, 2 to go. And victory! Our little foxy guide has now met up with the 4th group. As you can see, we've got silver hair, dark hair, or dark hair and eye patch. It's got the eye patch, which makes him especially mysterious. And we've also got dude that is wearing oddly Western clothing. Everybody else is wearing some variation of something that you would say is in some way traditional Japan. But that dude in the middle there with the brown hair, he's just swarthy. he's just wearing Western clothes. But he's pretty cool. That's the one I used in my run through before the stream. He's got a tattoo and everything. He is the cool dude. And his dialogue is pretty much along those lines as well. I don't need your help, I don't need you. Get out of my way, etc, etc. I might play as the silver hair guy this time. Because he's pretty. And I'm interested to see what his fighting style is like. He's another guy that will be using a sword. Oh, glowing gold eyes too. He's some kind of noble, he is. Oh, that's better. He's got some good... He's got some very nice magic attacks or specials or whatever. Alright, so we go this way. And we'll defeat that one. This mission that we need to do at the moment is just defeat 2 of these enemies, which we will obviously do quite easily. Yatta. And now we have to face off an even bigger group. Look at the size of that horde of enemies. Going to be tough. Except that the fox is about to unlock another ability for us for reasons I'm still not quite sure. I don't know why he's held on to that for so long. But anyway, this is our super. Which is certainly elegant. Beautiful little mini cutscene we've got here. And it's going to clear the room in a very literal sense. Spectacular. They're all gone. That wasn't so hard after all. 50 seconds that tutorial took. I promise you, the actual levels are much longer than that. This is just obviously, again, just the tutorial. When you play this in English, you will skip through this as quickly as you can. So with that, we'll come to the very final group that needs to be tested, tutorialized. And it's a group of 2. Just 2 this time. We've got the hood guy and we've got the guy that is not hooded. But is obviously a parallel. These 2 are pretty similar to one another. Have a good chat. I played as a hood guy the first time around. He was fine. He was pretty interesting. He has a black sword, which is pretty neat. Looks like it was made of obsidian or something other sinister. He might be a bit of a dark character. He's also a clone of some kind, as you will find out when you play in English. But we'll play as the other guy, just to see what he's like, because I don't really know. And does he have a black sword too? I don't really see that. I believe he might do. Let's check it out. See if we can see it. No, he's just got a normal sword. So he's but he does have a slightly different fighting style, as you can see. He uses the scabbard as well as part of his combat style. I like to call him the Rurouni Kenshin type. Yeah, like I said, even though they all have swords, or most of them have swords, they are a little bit different from one another. Oh, Foxy. There we go. That's one down. When you are fighting the bosses, you can see the little health bar at the top. So it's not like the game just expects you to guess. And now we learn our final gameplay mechanic. After this, we're fully equipped to take on the proper battles. And it is a buddy attack. See? They work together to clear the room. All of the special attacks, for some reason, clear the rooms. That's what happens here. And like that, just like that, we have done it. We have finished the tutorial. Success and all that. We have $300 or monies. Alright, now it is time for another cutscene. And then the game starts in proper. So like I said at the start of the stream, I'll take you through the first main level. So there we go, they're all gathered together. Very pretty cutscene again. So yeah, I'll show you the first main mission of this thing. And that'll give you a sense of what the game itself is actually like. And then I will not spoil it any further for you. At least until the game itself comes out. I think it comes out in May in the West. I believe that was the date that was given. Pretty sure it was May. And so you got a little while to wait. You'll probably forget about this video by the time the game comes out. And that be the shrine they go through. So that is the portal back in time. So they'll walk through there and they'll be taken somewhere. According to where the fox wants them to go. It's all how the quantum leap works. And apparently time travel happens with a big explosion of sakura blossoms. That seems to be the secret of it. I'll have to test that out next time I'm in Japan. Okay. So I do need to explain this a little bit to you because I guess this is the kind of the hub menu between battles. So first up, this is your house. And you can assign the various warriors to the different areas. Now that one there, the top one, is the living room, the kind of main room. So we'll put my favourite character in there. My favourite character being Mr. Hood. I do like the hooded character. And then, we don't have that many options right now, we've only got these two. But that would be the garden and the kitchen. So who are we going to put in the kitchen? We'll put green hair into there. Green hair and staff user. We'll put those into the kitchen and the garden. And that is that. So once you've set yourself up like that, you're ready to go into battle. There are a bunch of other options here that you'll unlock as you play on. But for now, there's free battle or mission battle. You can replay old missions with whichever characters you like, etc, etc, as is typical for a Warriors game, or you can push the narrative on by doing that, which we will do. So now we go back in time. We go back in time to, what time is it? 1580s, the 16th century. If anybody on the stream can guess what happened in the 16th century in Japan, you get a virtual cookie. I'll tell you in all of 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, this is the Sengoku period that you get teleported to firstly. So we are going back to Koei Tecmo traditional territory in a way. They certainly know how to depict the Sengoku period. And once again, the job that you do here, as the fox with the computer screen is telling you, your job is to fix history. There are people that are changing history for their own demonic ends. That's why the demons are popping up in the world. And you need to stop them. See, demon. That is because history has been changed. And we can't have that. Now you do solve that by doing, by basically hitting stuff. This isn't the most subtle. It's not like it's a puzzle game. It's not like it's a point and click adventure. No, the solution to save history is just to kill a whole lot of stuff. But what would a Warriors game be were it not for that? So this is how this works now. Without trying to explain this too much, because it could get lengthy, basically, there are 3 spots in the period that we're in right now, the Sengoku era, where history has been changed, and our job is to take the red history, which is the one that is on the right there, that is the rewritten history, and turn it to the blue, which is the original actual history. So you do get a bit of a history lesson if you play this game. And you do that across 3 different battles. So we're only going to do the first battle tonight, which is this one. They do have a good chat about it. More menu, or more, excuse me, more tutorial screens. Not explaining too much there. But here we go. Now, obviously, we only have these 2 warriors because they're the 2 that were teleported in history, according to that cutscene we saw just a little bit ago. I'm going to play as the hood guy this time, and that means the other guy is our ally. And as you can see now, the map there is a little bit more complex. It's not just the tutorial maps, it's not the tiny little space. This is more akin to what you would expect from a Warriors game. And our job is actually to save Hideyoshi Toyotomi before he was Hideyoshi Toyotomi. This is the early part of this guy's career, but basically we need to save his life so that he can become the leader of Japan as was ordained. See, I told you, Black Sword. And off we go. Now we've got little buzzy bug skeletons to fight as well. Good variety of the enemies so far. And here we go. So the door's closed. I ain't letting you through right now. You've got to save them peoples. The commoners. They're poor, trapped people that are getting devoured by the demons. You've got to go and help them out. And you do that, they'll let you through. And you do that by defeating the boss. You don't have to kill every single one of these enemies. This is a Warriors game after all. These things are always abstracted like that. Oh, it's a zombie. Beat the zombie good and proper there. And just like that. I'll let us through. Or not yet. There we go. Door is open because we saved them. So moving along. Some kind of zombie cult thing. Enemy those are. I don't actually know what they are. But they're tougher than the other enemies. They're not quite as easy to kill as the little skeletons. So I don't know why this is. I'm sure this will get explained at some point during the game. But in the middle of the battle, this guy just stops to admire the lotus blooms, which he kind of wonders why are there. Lotus blooms are, of course, a big part of Japanese spirituality, but I'm not sure the role they play in the game itself just yet. Those skeletons, well, they're spiders skeletons. They just cocooned me. That was creepy. Moving along. We need to rescue another one now. There we go. So that takes down another zombie, and the gates again open for us. Awful nice of them to do that, even though there are still enemies around. I assume the enemies still remain aggressive, even if there aren't if they don't have a general around. But anyway, they seem to be willing to open the gates for you once the boss has been defeated. We make our way further up the mountain. Fight a lot of these zombie cultists. And that would be Hideyoshi Toyotomi. There are more comical versions of him out there. This one is not quite as he's a monkey guy, as a lot of games can be. So we'll clear those away, just because we can. And there is the first boss that we fight. First proper boss. That is an Oni, for sure. And we will attack him with everything we've got. You don't want to get hit by that. I found that out by accident. You do not want to get hit by the Oni's attack. This should pretty much clear the room anyway. Oni does have a lot of health, but he's not that tough. Oh, still got a little bit back. But there is really only the Oni left now. And we will defeat him in a second. Got him. A little bit anticlimactic that he just disappears. He doesn't even have a death animation. He just kind of fades out of existence. But anyway, we leveled up, which means our stats increase. Very Warriors-like. And after winning that battle, not only do we get coins this time, we also get resources. I don't know what those resources do just yet. I would assume that I'll find out soon enough. Probably build better equipment or upgrade things. That's how these games always work. But we do have some of them, and they start to accumulate now with every battle that we win. And we have successfully rescued Hideyoshi Toyotomi. Mission complete. And just like that, the first of the histories has been returned to reality. And we're down to 2 now. So we'll do the next 2, and at that point we will have successfully saved this period of history. So that gives you a sense of what Touken Ranbu Warriors is like. I have just been playing it as of today. It actually only got released on the Japanese shop today. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to digging through the rest of it. And then, of course, when the English version rolls around later on this year, I will certainly be picking that up. And that is the point where I'll do my review and digitally download it. I'm obviously not going to review an import version because that would be pretty pointless. Not many people are going to jump on the eShop to buy something like this. If you do want to, you can pick it up on the eShop for, I think it's about 8,600 yen. It's not a cheap game. This one is on the premium end of the eShop cost. 8,600 yen works out at about $100 Australian, so I would assume 70 or so US dollars. Not that I have the currency conversion in front of me, but that's what I am guessing would be about the price. So yeah, if you do have that money to burn and you do understand a little bit of Japanese, or at least you played enough Warriors games that you can muddle your way through without necessarily having to understand everything, then it's a pretty game. It's enjoyable. The characters are really nice and the music's great. If you got to hear much of that through my talking on this stream, then you'll realize that as well. It's going to be a good game, I think. I think it's going to be very niche because it is probably the most niche Warriors title that Koei Tecmo has published as of yet. The previous anime tie-ins have been the likes of Pirates, One Piece, and Arslan, which was a pretty major anime at that point in time. There was also the Berserk one. So they generally do pretty high-end animes that do have a global audience. This one only has a very Japanese audience at this stage. But who knows? Maybe this will get a whole bunch of people to discover what is actually a pretty delightful little property. All right, I'm going to finish the stream up here. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Have a great weekend playing lots of games. God knows there's enough of them being released at the moment. And we'll see you next week.